Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? It's over. It's officially over.
Dang, it
All
is.
you got left is DFS in the postseason. If you really want to try that, give that a whirl.
Yeah, you can be bold like me or be smart like you and not do it.
Save your money. Save my money for my many buy-ins.
Exactly.
You got to get into $1,000 buy-in league this year.
Oh, well, that
Winner
you
take
can do
all.
that one in your own time.
$12,000 winner take all.
That'd be
You know,
murder in that
This
league.
is so friggin' heated, dude. People are so
That'd be
intense in those
non-heated.
leagues, too.
I'd be sabotaging people.
Yeah. Well, anyway, welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. Week 18 is in the books, and now we are officially in the NFL postseason. If things happen in the postseason that are pretty intense, you get some breakouts happening. Cam Akers last year, right? J.K. Dobbins had a little run at it, too.
He did.
So I think, I believe playoff Lenny, ended up being a top 10 running back this year. Somewhere around that.
Did. Yeah, I think he was, I'll say 10.
So there's some guys that break out down the stretch that you want to keep an eye on as the games kind of play out. And we'll mention guys as they go off. So we'll keep you up to date with that. But we are headed full-fledged into the offseason, and we're going to bring you a lot of, like I said, this is almost like a recap month. We're just going to go through absolutely everything and recap the 2021 season and give you all the information that you had. Well, basically the whole offseason is us just recapping what happened last year and trying to figure out what the crap's going to happen next year.
That is pretty much all it is.
So anyway, we're going to give you a dry recap of this season, talk about a lot of different information and stuff as we move into the coming weeks and months, going into the new league year, free agency, the draft, and all that fun stuff, and then the long dredge of the summertime.
And never ending.
Yeah. I'm like in the
Doesn't
midst
feel
of
like a
winter
year.
right now, and I still would rather be in this than
Yep. Well, I mean,
dead heat of the summer.
it depends.
I like the springtime.
what we
I
were
like
talking about.
60-degree weather.
See, I actually like the summer a lot. So,
Yeah, try being
but when it
fat.
comes to fantasy football, no, definitely not.
Try having a dad bod, bro.
Bro, hit the gym. You got time. You got like 5-6 months.
I gotta go hit home runs in my old man softball league. Anyway, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting. This week in particular, let me pull up my little calendar. We have. See, I just keep saying these old man things. I'm getting sick of it.
What,
Last
your
week I
little
freaking said
calendar?
my back hurt. Now I'm saying that I gotta go check my calendar. Hold on. Jeez. I'm screwed. Is this what they call a quarter life crisis?
Probably. You're probably in that right now.
Anyway, so we got this week the Fantasy Football Award Show. So today we got I really want to take this off because I feel constricted, but I got my on brand Adidas hoodie and a nice suit jacket in honor of the award show for the fantasy football season that we have. Rick is wearing, looks like he's going to a funeral for the bust of the year.
That is exactly what I'm doing. I mean, we'll get to it, but that's exactly what it is, pretty much.
The bust of the year took Rick all the way to a championship and won it for him in 2018. So just keep that in mind.
Sad day.
And then on Thursday, we have some top 5 lessons learned from the 2021 season. That's going to be a good one. You got to stick around for that one and hear us out on things that we learned from this season. And then it only gets more interesting from there. So without further ado, you ready to jump into this thing, Rick?
Let's do it.
All right. Check our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of the social media platforms. Just check us out on there. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like, and comment any questions you might have about the regular season down below. We can try to answer them as best we can. I got that PFF premium membership over here. So if you want to know those PFF stats, I'm not trying to destroy the paywall over here.
Right.
But I might be able to help you. So anyway, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platforms, leave a review, share this podcast with your friends. So let's jump right in to the 2021 award show. Wish I had a drop for this. That's what I'm going to do this offseason. We're going to make some drops.
Okay.
Make some transition music. And if any of you do audio.
Thursday night football preview.
Yeah, dude. See? I like it. Maybe I'll just have you record it and we'll say it and it won't make any sense.
I don't know if that would end well, but okay.
You just
I could try.
Like when I was a kid and made like YouTube videos. Crap YouTube channel.
The intros.
Yeah, and I had like a little YouTube show with my brother when I was like freaking 13 years old. And and we made our own like music transitions with our friggin' prepubescent voices.
It's probably lit.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I don't know if I've ever showed you this.
I don't know if you did actually. I think I maybe a long time ago.
Yeah. Probably seen something of the sort at some point in your life. But anyway.
Something like that, yeah.
So we're going to jump into the award show. And we're going to go through here. You know, we'll tell you what the list of awards are. So we got the QB of the year, the running back of the year, wide receiver of the year.
I wonder what the next one is.
Tight end of the year.
Oh, okay.
Bust of the year. It's probably my favorite, the bust of the year. And then we're going to wrap it up with the fantasy MVP. So the guy that won everyone leagues and won your league. If you won it, you probably had this fellow. So we'll go through that, and then we'll jump into next week's show. So without further ado, let's get started on the award show.
Let's do it.
So we'll start with the quarterback and then go as I listed them just a second ago. And funny thing here. Guys don't usually repeat. Guys don't usually repeat year to year.
No, they don't.
The guy who won quarterback of the year has now won quarterback of the year for the second straight year. And his name is Josh Allen.
He's a beast.
QB1 on the season. Now, he had 405 fantasy points last year. If my computer would load, I would be able to see his total from this year.
In 18 games, it was 417. But if you consider it, the 16 game season was actually less than he did the year before. It was 393.72.
Wow.
But still a good year. Still the QB1.
Still the QB1. So he had a really good year, and you can see, like as far as Josh Allen is concerned, it's funny because I didn't feel that same, like, you know how when a quarterback has a QB1 season, like Lamar, I think was QB1 like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And you just felt this regression. I don't remember if I ever talked about Josh Allen regression, but I never felt that it was going to be a bad pick.
Right. We were on the same page. We didn't think he'd be QB1 again just because it
doesn't happen.
But we both weren't like, he's not going to be a top 3 quarterback. I think we both had him like second or third. So it wasn't like crazy. Because I remember when he was drafted in our home league, I was like, I ended up taking Kyler, but the guy I wanted was Josh Allen. He almost fell to me. It was like one pick. And I was like, dang. It's like 5th round, first pick of the 5th round.
Whew. See, now that's where
last pick of the 4th round.
I'm like,
It's early, but if
is it worth it now?
And the only reason I took Kyler was because I thought he was going to be the QB1. Because yes, it's early to take a quarterback, especially there. But if you're taking the QB1, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. I'm gonna have to use Pro Football Reference on my iPhone because
your computer crapping in bed.
It's crapping itself out. But no, I think it is interesting that he finished number 1. I almost thought it was a surefire bet that Mahomes would finish 1 this year. But he started the year very, 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 very slowly. So
still finished 4 though, and played one less game than everybody else.
I know, which is ridiculous. But yeah, so Josh Allen had another year, 63 completion percentage. He threw 36 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. He had rushing. Did I say the passing yards? 4,407 passing yards. And then he had 122 rushing attempts for 763 yards and 6 touchdowns. This is why Josh Allen is probably going to stay a top 3 quarterback every single year. At
least for the foreseeable future.
At least for the foreseeable future. Now, I will say this about Josh Allen in fantasy. There is a slight concern for me, and I don't want to predict injury because he doesn't have a history in injury, but if you ever watch a Buffalo Bills football game, he's going to get hurt.
I agree with this.
He's going to get hurt. Yep. And I don't know if I want to be the guy that finds... It's like Lamar this year. Played pretty much injury-free for like 3 seasons.
Yep.
And this year, the running is starting to catch up with him. Missed a lot of time, and the Ravens ended up missing the playoffs because of it. So... Like, the way that I look at this right now for Josh Allen, at some point there's going to come an injury where he isn't going to be able to play the way that he normally does. Now, I don't want to tell you not to draft a guy because there's going to be an injury, and you can't predict injuries. He could never get an injury for his whole career. And I think the amount that he rushes is not a bad amount. It doesn't really, 122 rushing attempts is not a massive load of rushing, which is going to cause him to get hurt. It's just the way that he gets hit most of the time that I'm like, oh god, this kid's gonna get smashed. So anyway, if he stays healthy and everything stays the same, like he's a top 5 quarterback every single season
for sure. But it's funny because I think I'm gonna have the same approach this off season, because our whole thing was like, oh, it's rare for a quarterback to finish number 1 back-to-back years. How rare is it to finish as QB1 3 straight years? Has it ever happened?
Probably, but I don't know if I have the history to go back. It might have been Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't. It might have been, but even then, I don't think he did. I mean, we'd have someone must know somewhere, and we could do the research. But
nerds.
Either way,
nerds on YouTube.
Extremely rare.
Leave it in the comments.
Extremely rare. I don't think he's finishing QB1 again next year. And I think, as a little side note, honorable mentions here. If you took Justin Herbert, pretty good pick. It was the QB2, and you probably took him in like the 7th round, 7th, 8th round. And then same with Tom Brady, who, once again, finishes in the top 3 and 43 touchdowns.
How are you seeing 18 weeks? My computer is not having it today.
Yeah, I'm seeing 18. It does not just show up for you?
It shows up on my other computer. This one is just like not letting me see anything.
Rodgers too, dude. Rodgers finished as the QB6, and I think we talked about him on
there we go.
A different show recently.
Fixed it.
There you go. Good job. He finished as the QB6 and really played 15 and a half games because he only played like half of week 18, and then he missed the game as well, and still finishes the QB6.
Wow.
Hurts, Kyler Murray, all great seasons. But
I think
Josh Allen.
And it's funny too because I don't know if I want to do this yet, but
okay.
Kyler missed 2 games, averaged 22 points a game. Is he a front runner for QB1 next year?
I might have been a year too early on Kyler, unfortunately.
Now they're good. So, we'll see. Herbert too is, like you said, he's fantastic.
The problem with Herbert, though, is he does rush, but he won't rush as much as Josh Allen or Kyler Murray. And that puts him in the same categories like Burrow and kind of Stafford and Brady, those guys that are elite passers and put up big numbers, but don't have the rushing ceiling as a Josh Allen, as a Kyler Murray, even a Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts gets to start again next year, he's going to be a very good pick as well, I think. But
yeah, in points per game, Josh Allen was about, this is through 18 weeks, by the way. Josh Allen was at 24.6 fantasy points per game. The next closest guy was Herbert at 23.3 points per game. So obviously, Josh Allen, QB1, stays in that position. If he does it again next year, He might be one of the greatest fantasy quarterbacks ever.
Instantly in the conversation.
Yeah.
3 straight QB1 finishes. That's...
Yeah. Somebody should do a career fantasy point total. That would be fun.
I mean, Brady's probably number 1.
Yeah.
That exists.
107. Anyway.
Mike Vick, I bet, is higher than people think.
Yes. But Josh Allen, really good season.
For sure.
Let's give it up for Josh Allen. I got a little applause sound effect.
Oh, you do?
Congratulations, Josh.
There you go, Josh Allen.
It's a good year, buddy.
Good year. It's a good year.
Like the crowd noise. That's a nice touch.
I can't even hear it, so I don't even know what's going
on. Have you never been able to hear the intro audio?
No, I can. I just couldn't hear this one for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
I heard the clapping in the beginning, and then you stopped talking, and I was like, "Oh, is it still going?"
It was like crowd noise. Like people clapped and now they're walking around.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, let's move on to the next guy. Running back of the year, finished as running back 1. Me and Rick, I think we both had some hesitation early in the season on this particular player. Not early in the season. Well, yes, early in the season, but later in the offseason, right around July and August. Based on the decisions this team made, we were kind of a little bit more concerned about whether he was going to be able to finish as high as he was getting drafted. And boy, oh boy, did he finish higher than he was supposed to and just kind of blow everyone out of the water. It's Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
Running back 1.
Dude was a beast. Absolute beast.
Kind of silenced every hater. You could
we were hesitant on him, but I've said this before on the show and I'll say it again. I think we were fair to be hesitant on him because those first 3 weeks of the season, they used him like we were kind of scared that they would use him. And then he kind of just forced his way to be used more by his playing ability. And eventually they gave him like 30 touches a game like they should. We definitely won't be hesitant on him next year. But like I said, the reasons we were was like Marlon Mack, the coaching staff, Naeem Hines. Yeah. Is he the first overall pick? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
I think in drafts, it's going to be very close between Henry and Taylor.
I think it would be a mistake to take Derrick Henry.
It really, I agree, but I
even though if you look at Derrick Henry's stats this year, 24 points per game in 8 games. But
he was ridiculous.
Coming off of an injury, and how old is he? 28 now?
And so you make compelling arguments, but I feel like by the time we get to August.
Oh yeah, Derrick Henry will probably be number 1.
He'll be
number 1 or number 2.
No, number 1 or number 2. It's going to be a split between those two. I think McCaffrey has had so many injuries that he's probably going to be pushed.
He's going to fall at the top
3 or 4.
He might fall at the top 3 or 4. Yeah. I think I saw one where he was going like 5 or 6.
Yeah, so it's
super early ones.
We do a early round. I believe that's next week, but an early like first round mock draft where we just open up a sleeper mock draft and go through the first round and try to project out what we might think is going to happen over the course of the offseason. So we'll get to that when we get to that. But Jonathan Taylor, RB1 on the season, averaged 20 points per game, so he was obviously not as dominant as Derrick Henry was in half PPR when he was playing, but he did lead the pack of players that played more than 14 games on the year with 20 plus points per game. So he was fantastic this year. 353 fantasy points. The number 2 running back was Austin Eckler with 308. So that's a pretty good number right there. Some pretty good.
Eckler was kind of close in PPR. I'm not gonna lie.
Say it again.
Eckler was kind of close in PPR. He was like 30 points behind with a game less. So I mean, probably wouldn't have got it, but
no, he probably
a little closer. In half PPR, though, no, it was clearly Jonathan Taylor.
And Jonathan Taylor he averaged 5.45 yards a carry, 18 touchdowns, 1,800 rushing yards. And then he had 360 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns through the air as well. So 20 touchdowns, over 2,000 total yards from scrimmage. Just a ridiculous year for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
I hope he stays healthy because he is, to me at this point, if he continues to play like this, he is probably the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah. Hope you got him in some dynasty leagues.
I don't have him in a
No, I do.
dynasty league.
Winky face.
You jerk.
Hey, we're in both. I think not every league, but 2 of the leagues that I'm in with you, I have them.
Yes.
The League of Ordinary Gentlemen, 10-man band.
Yep.
Got them in both those leagues.
Yes, I know you do. Wish I could get them, but it would take like an arm and a leg.
You're not going to get them from me. You can get them in Champs League or something.
I was going around trying to get. You have Jamar Chase in the league, right?
In a single league, yes.
Is it a league that I'm in?
No.
I was trying to get Jamar Chase.
Yeah, good luck with that.
You know what's an interesting one? We're going to add right on the show. We didn't do this one last year, but I like it. it. We're going to do our own Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year? Okay, yeah.
You find one, Rick.
All right. Okay. Well, I mean, we just said, well, I guess it would be up for debate. Who's the Rookie of the Year?
But
because there's a guy in Pittsburgh who's a running back who you could probably make that argument. It's probably the safer bet, but I don't know, because considering where you drafted them, do you take that into effect? Because Harris would be like early 2nd round pick. Chase was probably like a 5th or 6th.
No, don't take into draft.
Okay, then it should be Harris.
I'll leave it up to you, though. I'll leave it up to you. So
okay.
anyway,
I would say Najee.
Jonathan Taylor, running back of the year. Congratulations, JT.
Play the effect.
Welcome to the amazing players club.
Yes.
I'm kind of glad he's here because I was kind of like, there's so many people that did not like Jonathan Taylor that were like, what the crap's going on?
Which is dumb. He's gonna be a top 5 running back. His era starts now. The McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Kamara. I mean, they're still obviously up there, but they're kind of getting Derrick Henry. Like that 3-4 year window is getting pushed a little bit back, and now it's going to be the Jonathan Taylor group.
The interesting thing about JT too is he is very young.
Yeah.
So he's still got a lot of years to play. Like he's going to end up being one of a really great. If he plays like this for 5-6 years, he could end up one of the better running backs of all time. But
yep,
we'll have to see where that goes. So anyway, wide receiver of the year is Cooper Kupp. This is one that I feel like we didn't miss on. We didn't whiff on. We didn't tell you that he was going to suck.
Yep.
Because we believed in the offense of...
Got him in 2 leagues. You drafted him in 1 redraft league that you did. Yep. Got the championship.
So like we did not believe in him. But I feel like we should have pushed him a little bit more. And I'm kind of curious as to why. Say that again?
It's a big regret, yeah.
I'm kind of curious as to why we didn't, because we were all in on that Rams offense and all in on that team, like Cam Akers, Stafford, just how effective they were going to be.
We were both really high on Robert Woods too. I think that kind of
affected it.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, no, I loved Cooper Kupp. I took him in some leagues. I know you took him in a league. I've always thought he was good. And then you add Matt Stafford, like he could be great. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was just, I think too, the area he was getting drafted, we had our, players that we had in mind that we really liked, DJ Moore, for example, who started off great, but then when Sam Darnold went out, he ended up getting he ended up getting 7 points a week, and we kind of, not being a bust, but not the player that we hoped he would be in the beginning of the season. Like players like that we really wanted, and it kind of pushed Cooper Kupp to the side, even though we did like Cooper Kupp. And the year that he had, man, he's not going to repeat it, but probably the best wide receiver year in the last 5-6 years that we've seen.
I will say too, the interesting thing looking at that is and we'll talk a lot more about lessons learned from the season on the Thursday show, but when you talk about trying to find league winners in leagues, I think there's really the Browns were an anomaly in this sense, where when they got, everyone thought when they got Odell that Odell was just going to go off, and obviously that never happened in Cleveland, and their offense didn't go off, and that just never started to accumulate. But you see in off seasons, the previous year, Stefon Diggs moves from Minnesota to Buffalo, better offense, better situation, better quarterback, and he blows up. This year you get Matt Stafford, going to LA, changes that situation, and Cooper Kupp blows up.
Yep.
So I feel like what we need to be looking at is the changes for teams that we might not start to expect a player to go off for, but they make a ton of improvements in the offseason and just become significantly better offensively. That's kind of where I'm like, okay, maybe that's what you need to be looking at. But either way, listen to this, Rick. 18 games now. I know it's 18 games, but even if you take the last 7 targets he had in the last game of the regular season away, okay? Let's give him a normal 17-week season. He had freaking 184 targets. 138 catches.
Oh my gosh, 138 catches.
And I'll go on the full season. 191 target share. 145 catches. 1,947 receiving yards. 16 receiving touchdowns. Ridiculous. 75% catch rate.
Did he break the record for most receiving yards in a single season?
I believe he broke. I don't know
Calvin
if he broke
Johnson.
the record. I think he barely missed it. I believe. I think he needed
was
like 136
at least second.
yards.
He was at least second.
Yeah, I think he needed like 136 yards and he only had 118.
Yeah, he was quick math here. 15, 14. So he was 17 yards off.
Oof.
Yeah.
No, he was absurd. Statistically, everything. And we talked about like Michael Thomas 2 years ago, and we talked about Devontae Adams last year. This year for a wide receiver was just absolutely absurd because he had 367 fantasy points, averaging 21 points per game. I remember when we talked about Michael Thomas when he was wide receiver 1 and we thought 18 fantasy points a game was ridiculous. And 21.6 points per game. Those are freaking running back quarterback numbers.
Yeah. That's like McCaffrey. I mean, he had more points per game than Jonathan Taylor.
And that's in half PPR, by the way. It's not in full PPR.
Yep.
So I feel like, and the funny thing is I don't know that anything's changing over there.
No, well, that's the thing is I don't think it is either. What I will say is like the touchdowns. You know, do you think he's getting 16 touchdowns again?
No, but as a PPR wide receiver, there's a good shot to finish his top 3.
I could see it. I could absolutely see him
in half PPR.
He kind of reminds me of, to a lesser degree, Stephon Diggs from this past season, where Diggs I think was wide receiver 3 last year, and you know I remember you brought up the point where it's like the only way he would have a better year than he did the year before is Josh Allen would have to throw like 40-something touchdowns, and that's probably not going to happen. So he's going to have some small regression, but he's still going to be really, really good. And that's exactly what happened. He finished as the wide receiver 7. So still a really good wide receiver 1, probably even still worth like a late second round pick, but not the wide receiver 3. I think that's probably what Cooper Kupp's going to be. He's going to be really, really good. Probably the wide receiver 3 or 4, but not going to be the wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I totally agree. Cooper
Kupp.
But
if you had him this year, man.
You won your leagues. Cooper Kupp, ridiculous. Congratulations, Cooper Kupp.
Congratulations.
Speech.
Cool.
I just love the crowd noise.
I know.
No one's talking and just... All right. Now, on to probably one of the more shocking dethronements.
Came out of nowhere.
In fantasy football. Mark Andrews wins tight end of the year as the tight end 1 in all of fantasy football. He ends up outscoring Travis Kelce by 47 fantasy points. He had 1 fantasy point more on average per game than Travis Kelce. Kelce did only have 15 games played. I don't believe he played weeks. Which weeks did he not play?
He missed 1 week because of COVID.
Okay.
And then I don't know if he played the last week of the season.
Yeah.
But
so
either way.
Kelce did miss some time. Ends with 205 fantasy points. But Mark Andrews ends up the tight end 1 overall. something that I don't think any of us expected. And one of the things that I've been meaning to check out, and I'm going to do a live on show because I need to know where things changed. I know in previous years, it was snap percentage. Like Mark Andrews was in the game and they put him in the game on passing downs, but they didn't get him out there all the time because they were trying to keep him healthy. I know he had injury stuff going on in the past in his career.
I can tell you what he's just looking at his numbers. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So then you look at, in 2020, he had 3 games over, I believe, 75% or more snap percentage, just 3 games. This year, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games over 75% snap percentage. So
they used him like a real tight end finally.
This is what Mark Andrews can be in that offense for the Baltimore Ravens when you put him on the field. I'm not sure what stopped them from doing it, but this year they did it. From week 3 on, he got 7 or more targets in every single game. And
I was going to say it wasn't. I remember the first few games of the season he didn't do that great, but then at some point early in the season they really started to target him. And I will say too, I think after week 10 he averaged 16 fantasy points per game in half PPR, and I think that was also when they kind of stopped using Hollywood Brown as much. They still used him a lot and was still getting targeted, but it felt like they kind of shifted Andrews being the top target on the team versus Hollywood Brown. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the quarterback situation, or they just felt like Andrews was getting open or he was hot, whatever it ended up being.
No, I mean, it could have been any one of those things. But I think the biggest thing for me with Mark Andrews was just getting him on the field a lot more.
Yes.
And I think part of, maybe he made some improvements in his blocking ability and stuff like that. Because part of the problem was, you put him out there and Lamar is Lamar. He scrambles, he gets out of the pocket, he tries to make plays with his feet, even on pass plays. It's not always designed runs and stuff like that for him. And when that's the case, you need a good blocking tight end to get out there on release plays and, fade routes and different stuff like that to open things up for Lamar if he's going to try to run. You want that big behemoth tight end who can block down the field, so Lamar can get open and make a play. And I don't know that Mark Andrews was doing that before, and I think that's something that maybe he made an improvement in this year, that they had enough faith in him to say, hey, get out there, try to make, do your thing blocking, and he earned more playing time, and that is very good for fantasy because he had 247 fantasy points. Now, I'm curious, previous year, 2020, in a 16-game regular season, Travis Kelce had 260 fantasy points. I do want to note to the fantasy community that last year was an anomaly at the tight end position. It was a really good year for tight ends. And this year was not a really good year for tight ends. It was a bad year for tight ends. I think the third tight end last year had 200 plus fantasy points. This year, the third tight end, George Kittle, had 162. So very bad year for the tight end position, but Mark Andrews would have been top 3 last year either way.
Yes. Yeah, he would have. He would have been, I think he would have been second last year. Second or third.
And
he would have been second. So
I've really tried not to rant about Travis Kelce, the tight end 2 with 205 fantasy points.
I know you love it.
Man, all those people who said to draft him in the first round, maybe don't draft the tight end in the first round, guys. Yeah,
that would probably be smart.
Advice.
Still a better pick than a guy we're going to talk about probably next.
That's probably you right. We'll keep talking about good things though. The show's getting kind of long. This one always is long. It's always long.
I will say quickly, will Andrews repeat next year?
No.
Agreed. I think they had it for Lamar more this year. I do think Kelce's done. I'm trying to trade him in the one dynasty league I have him in desperately for Kyle Pitts. Not seeming to work out right now.
He's very, very good. But the times are coming.
He's 32 years old.
32.
He's 32 years old.
He gets battered. He gets absolutely destroyed.
He does, yep.
I don't think there's much time left for him. You're starting.
He's still going to be probably a top 5 tight end next year, and then it's going to hit an absolute floor.
Yep. So at some point.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the guy drafting him when that happens. Now,
right.
I'm not even like excited about Mark Andrews next year either. Like,
my biggest problem about Andrews is just the Ravens threw the ball so much this year without J.K. Dobbins, without Gus Edwards, with Lamar Jackson out for a big part of the season.
Right.
Yes, they might be more efficient throwing the ball. So he had 9 touchdowns on 154 targets. And then a couple years ago, he had 10 touchdowns on 98 targets. So he might be a little more efficient. Maybe he gets a touchdown or 2 more than you'd expect. But I don't think he's going to get that target share just because they're going to run the ball more next year.
I agree. All right. So let's move along. Oh, actually, you know what? Sorry, Mark.
Okay. Oh yeah, gotta give him an applause for the tight end one, kind of out of nowhere.
Say that one more time.
I said for like the tight end one out of nowhere.
Yeah, for the tight end one out of nowhere. Let's talk about one final award, and it's a new one. Rookie of the Year. Usually, this is the year. It's not a quarterback. It's fantasy football. And my God, Rick, I didn't just until like 5 minutes ago, I did not realize how freaking close these two guys are.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe we should do a live vote on who should win Rookie of the Year because it's close.
I just looked at the stats.
We have Najee Harris
again. Okay.
Who had 263.7 fantasy points through 18 weeks in half PPR, 15.5 points per game. Wide receiver, Jamar Chase, top 5 at the wide receiver position, 264.1 points per game, 17 games, 15.5 fantasy points per game. I
think the Rookie of the Year, as much as Najee Harris had a fantastic year, I think I got to give it to Chase.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I'm going to switch it.
Okay.
I'm going to switch it because you're right.
Funny because that is one guy that
did not expect.
You were very against.
You know what? I feel like to be fair, and I don't like taking weeks out. I really don't like it because I feel like every week counts, every week matters. But last year when Alvin Kamara had like that 60-point week or 55-point week in the last week of the postseason, like I was like,
Yeah, Chase did have that.
Chase had a 50-point week, and if we go back to week 16, so week 1 through 16, and take the last 2 weeks out, Jamar Chase is still top 6, so that's good. Nothing changed.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not as good, but it's still elite.
Yeah, I mean, he's ridiculous. I can't. I love Jamar Chase. I will go out on a limb and say like Cooper Kupp's good, and I think a lot of people are going to say he's the best like wide receiver in the NFL, and you know all the power to him for the stats that he got and stuff like that. I really don't think that Cooper Kupp is the best wide receiver in the NFL for a numerous amount of reasons. He just gets targeted a lot, and I think if he was on a team that didn't target him 191
he's always
times,
been an underrated wide receiver.
He's always been an underrated wide receiver. He had a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns. He got it done this year. I don't think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. Talent-wise, skill set-wise, I think he's a good wide. I think he's a really, really great wide receiver. Top 5, definitely. But as far as there's so many other receivers in the NFL that are way above his pay grade in terms of talent.
Sure.
So it's like, anyway.
The things that Kupp does, though, I mean, not to get stuck on Cooper Kupp, but like, I don't think he drops a pass ever.
No. It's he's a great.
And his route running is extremely good too. But
I will say, Jamar Chase, the Rookie of the Year, for us, not for real life.
Maybe.
I think right now, he's top 3. And if he does anything like this next year, he might be number 1. He might be the best receiver in football. Like he's so. You have to watch a football game to understand Jamar Chase.
I know.
He's very
the only thing that puts me that kind of makes me hesitate about that is he still drops so many passes that I know he's a rook, but You have to fix that if you want to be considered. Enough for fantasy. Fantasy, it really doesn't matter. If you get targeted 160 times and you drop 10 passes, it doesn't matter. But if we're just talking about like the best receiver in the game,
Deontay Johnson,
like in their primes, Julio Jones and Antonio Brown would not drop passes. It was rare.
Yeah, no,
right? Those kind of guys.
Chase ain't even
we're
in
talking
his prime,
about him.
that's the whole thing.
Right. True. Well, that's true. But if we're talking about putting him in that discussion already, I want to see him not drop so many passes first.
Fair enough.
But he has all the tools.
Is he better than Justin Jefferson?
In terms of talent, yes.
Okay.
And you know how much I love Justin Jefferson.
I
my most owned player.
Jamar Chase invented Justin Jefferson's dance. So
he did. Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I would say. I mean, next year we drafting wide receivers. Where's Chase? Just off the top of your head.
Top 2 rounds, definitely top 5 at the wide receiver position.
Agreed. Yeah.
100%. I think early second is probably where he'd end up. I do think Cooper Kupp's going in the first round. I think Adams will sneak into the first round, depending on how that whole offseason situation shakes out.
True. Kupp will go ahead of him for sure. Do you think Debo goes ahead of him?
I do not think Debo's going to go ahead of him. I think Debo will slip to the end of the second round.
That's fair. I agree. Well, Jefferson. That's a toss-up.
Jefferson will end up in the same spot he was last year.
Yeah. Okay.
Either that or mid second round.
Yeah.
I think Chase is probably going to be like we forget about Tyreek Hill. He was very good this year. Ended up as the wide receiver 6 overall.
Played one less game than.
Say it again.
Played one less game than Chase and Jefferson as well.
Yeah. So I do think that there's a good chance that Tyreek Hill does end up getting drafted early second as well, just because he's a wide receiver in the Chiefs offense.
But either way, in the discussion for top 5.
Yeah.
Wide receiver.
So but like what Jamar Chase did this year was remarkable for a rookie.
Unbelievable.
And I thought Justin Jefferson was really good. What you got out of like these LSU wide receivers are just on another level.
But see, it's funny because you're smart enough to not do this, right? But there's going to be people that have been like rookies are not good, all this stuff, and then the last 2 years happens. Justin Jefferson, and then it gets blown out the water this year with Najee Harris.
This
Chase,
year is going to be brutal. I'm telling you, people.
Waddle. And this year there's going to be rookies that land in decent spots, and people are going to draft them in redraft in like the 5th and 6th round because we've seen what they have been able to do, and they're going to disappoint. The rookies this year are going to disappoint.
I agree.
There might be one running back that has a Josh Jacobs type rookie season, but that's about it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think the running back position is far easier to have success with.
True, it's a little different, but the wide receiver position.
Yeah, that's why it's usually a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year.
Chris Olave.
Say it again.
People are going to take Chris Olave in like the 5th round.
Oh my god, I know.
Ohio State wide receiver.
I know somebody who will take. I don't even know if he's declared for the NFL draft. I don't even know if he can declare for the NFL draft. But the guy out of Purdue.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh my god, he's so those Purdue wide receivers.
4th round pick.
Yeah, easy money. 4th round pick. Anyway, round of applause for Jamar Chase's amazing rookie season.
Honorable mentions, by the way. Najee Harris, Jalen Waddle, and we say his name wrong all the time, and I just realized that. But Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. Bro, that guy. I don't even know what to do with him. Do you know he ended up...
I don't know.
Amon-Ra St. Brown ended ahead of
I kind of want
T.
him.
Higgins.
I don't have him in any league, so I want him.
You want him?
I do. I told you that. I sent you a text. I was like...
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You can have him.
I said, what do you want from Amon-Ra?
In what league?
10-minute ban.
Okay, we'll talk. I actually want to do him.
I just don't want to
not selling. I'm not like, oh my god, right, I gotta get rid of this guy.
I understand, and I'm in the same boat as you. I just don't have him in any leagues, but like, he's on the Lions, and he's a 4th round pick, and yes, he had a lot of catches, but playing with a Jared, like he fits that perfectly. Like, let's say they get a new quarterback who just slings it, that's going to be horrible for Amon-Ra.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Right.
It's going to depend on situation, but I think he's proved enough this year that at worst he's still going to be like a Jarvis Landry type player.
Yeah, that's fair. I just don't know yet. I got to go through the offseason and figure it out because he was ridiculous down the stretch.
He was ridiculous, but it's circumstances too is the only thing that's pushing me away. But he was good. He was very, very good.
I feel like that was a good way to wrap up the rookie, the great rookie season that we had this year.
Lots of great rookies that we hadn't even talked about. Yeah. That if they did what they did in other years, we would be talking about. Elijah Moore.
Yep.
Devontae Smith even had a good rookie season.
Remember when T-Mac ended up like wide receiver 17 and everyone was just sweating?
Yep.
That is what we normally get. And the last couple of years, it's just been like that's what Amon-Ra is. Like if Amon-Ra did this and a normal
we didn't even talk
year,
about Javonte Williams.
I know Javonte had a good year too. But either way, we got the whole offseason.
Elijah Mitchell. Yeah, tons of rookies.
Let's talk about quickly the bust of the year.
Okay.
And Rick wore black for this one. A nice navy. This thing doesn't even fit me anymore. I gained 20 pounds over the holidays. It's either that or I'm wearing a hoodie. That could be it. Very thick hoodie in my negative 14 degree weather.
It's probably smart then. It's probably smart.
Anyway. Do you want to take this one, Rick?
Sure. Bust of the year. The guy who I defended in the offseason, probably my biggest miss of the year, said I would take him 4th overall. I remember I tweeted that. Because he's my guy. He won me championships, multiple championships. I believed in him when not everybody else did. That's Saquon Barkley, running back of the New York Giants, who in most drafts was a mid to late first-round pick. And you're like, well, he wasn't that bad, was he? He wasn't good by any means. He finished as the RB30 on the season, and you're probably thinking to yourself, well, he probably missed a lot of games. He missed 3 games. Okay. So he still played 14 games.
I thought he missed more than that.
He only missed 3 games.
Oh, I have a comp for this. I legit have a comp for this on the season.
He had less points per game than Michael Carter, Tony Pollard, Darrell Henderson, Chase Edmonds. Less points per game than, I'm looking at PPR, so this is a little different, but less points per game than J.D. McKissick. In half PPR, he was actually worse. He finished as RB32 at 9.2 points per game, which was less than Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny almost had more points per game, and he only played 10 games, or more total points. And he only played 10 games.
This really feels like a funeral. And you want? Okay, I'm gonna give you this, Rick. Okay. You want your eyes to start burning?
No.
Go look up Alvin Kamara. Missed 4 games. Finishes the RB8. Saquon missed 3 games and finishes the what in half PPR? RB32?
32.
That's all you need to know.
So sad.
Now,
am I going to learn from my mistakes?
Okay.
No.
You're going to draft Saquon Barkley 6th overall next year?
No. The reason why is because he's going to go in like the 6th round.
At this point, yeah, he's dropping into the 4th or 5th round, and this might be like I remember when it was like I think it was the 2017 season. I can't remember. I went on this big run in one of my fantasy leagues and like won the first 8 games of the season, and I like had a really good year. And it was the year Zeke was going to get suspended, and he ended up appealing and played the first 8 weeks of the season, then lost the appeal at the end. But he was going in the 3rd, 4th round in leagues because no one wanted to take a risk on a guy that might be suspended for 6 games. So I took the risk on that one player, and I feel like Barkley could do something similar to that, where a lot of people are like, I don't really like this guy.
But things have to change in New York.
They need better offensive line pieces. They need a new quarterback. They need that offensive coordinator.
New quarterback
gone.
And coach.
They need that new head coach gone. I mean, yeah, new head coach. I'll say that because he is new. They need him gone.
Joe Judge
needs to be out. So if that, and I think they haven't fired him yet because I think they want to bring in a new GM because they just fired Joe Mara or John Mara. I can't remember his name.
I thought it was Dave Gettleman. No.
Is it Dave Gettleman?
I thought Dave Gettleman was the Giants GM.
I thought what the frick?
He retired.
He retired?
He did.
Okay, so he's out.
He's stepping away.
Joe Mara or John Mara, what the frick his name is the owner, right?
I think so.
So they have to figure out who the GM is going to be, and I think when they determine that, then they'll start making the decision on head coach and whether or not they should fire or keep Joe Judge. I think it would be a smart move for them to go out and get because he probably won't get hired at this point from the noise I've been hearing around certain coaches. But the offensive coordinator from the Chiefs, he needs to be considered for that job.
Eric
Bieniemy. But I will say Barkley is, like Rick said, he's a shadow of himself. I think he has taken a step back. I still think he's got the Barkley traits.
Still has something in the tank.
He's still got
better than what he's shown, at least. He's not 2 or 3 years ago. He was in his second, third, when he was at the point where Jonathan Taylor's at. I would argue that he was the best running back talent-wise in the league. I don't think he's that anymore. He's definitely has taken a step down. But I think he still has enough, when he's on the field, has enough left in the tank that if he was in a good offense, he would be a very productive running back. Kind of like what Zeke is at this point in his career, to be honest. Like if you put Zeke on the Giants at this point in his career, do you think he does much?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
It's kind of where
I think I need to assess Barkley's situation as the offseason goes along.
Yeah, it's definitely
going to... They do fire their head coach, I think, because they also fired their offensive coordinator. And...
yeah, they're restarting completely. They got to get rid of Daniel Jones, too, unfortunately. He never really got a fair shot, but... They got to get a new quarterback there too. They got to just completely restart.
They got to restart, and it's going to be tough. But I think honestly, it would benefit them to trade Barkley. I don't see any need in keeping Saquon.
The problem is, what are they going to get for him?
Nothing, and it would have been a waste of a top 4 draft. But that's what you do when you rebuild. You screwed up. You didn't get the quarterback. You didn't get a good coach. You have to restart. That's what it is. Your best asset is Saquon Barkley. You got to trade him. You got a wasted dead cap space in Kenny Golladay now. Like it's a bad situation in New York.
Bad.
They got to figure this stuff out. But yeah, no, bust of the year. So I don't have a sound effect for that, but
oh, there you go.
Wow, that was loud. But that's what he gets. No claps, just crickets.
He's a bum.
He's a bum in short order. And then quickly, the last player that we'll talk about. And we don't need to talk about him because we already did. It is
our MVP. We got to do a drum roll.
Fantasy MVP. I don't have a drum roll, but you hear a drum roll in your head. Our fantasy MVP, the one who won you leagues, the one who took over basically everything, is Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp.
Congratulations, Cooper Kupp. Won the leagues, dude.
He won the leagues. Absolutely. We both lost championships though with him.
What the frick is up with that?
That kind of pisses me off too. I should not have lost in the fantasy champs league
with Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Nick Chubb. It's because DeAndre Swift got like 4 points. I had Tom Brady, top 3 quarterback.
Yeah,
that's
what it is.
Oh well, is what it is.
But Cooper Kupp wins fantasy MVP this year. So recap. QB of the year, Josh Allen. Running back of the year, Jonathan Taylor. Wide receiver of the year, Cooper Kupp. Tight end of the year, Mark Andrews. Rookie of the year, Jamar Chase. Bust of the year, Saquon Barkley. And then fantasy MVP, Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp.
2021 Fantasy Football Award Show is in the books. It's long. I know. Longest show we've had in a long time. But it's fun. So congratulations to those guys. Congratulations, you won your fantasy championship. We'll talk to you Thursday, guys.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.